Hi, welcome back. Now, for those of you that have been following this channel for a while, you will know that I enjoy riding Zwift, partially because I don't like being cold. I don't really like being rained on, and I really am just not a fan of being uncomfortable in any way except for being uncomfortable as a part of riding the bike. So back in the summer, my Zwift bike finally gave up the ghost, and I was faced with the decision of getting a new Zwift bike. But Tyler, you already have a capable road bike. Why not use it? Because I did not want to put my prized possession on a trainer and take the chance of just messing it up while having it on a trainer. So I was in the market to buy something affordable, something still of good quality, and something that maybe I could use outside of the training room. Enter the gravel bike. I could have bought a very cheap road bike, but I instead went with something that kind of interested me. I already had a mountain bike. I already had a road bike. I didn't have a gravel bike, and because that seems to be the big fad right now, I thought I'd jump on board. I went with the Checkpoint ALR 4. Look, gravel is not going to be my main thing. I wanted to get something with capable components to spend 90% of its life in this room on this trainer setup. It has performed really, really well as a trainer bike. Seems like a lot of money for a trainer bike, but do remember, I did want to check out this gravel thing. But before I get into gravel, there are a couple things I needed to do. I needed to get some better clothing because gravel season starts early. It also races in the rain, and I needed to probably harden up a little bit. So the best way I know to harden up, grow a beard. Well, I don't know how long I'll be able to go on with this. This thing's pretty itchy. But let's talk about this bike. Now that I have decided to actually ride it outside, what are my impressions? My impressions are that it's heavy. It's still pretty fun. It actually handles fairly well. It doesn't handle like my road bike. It doesn't handle like my mountain bike. It's not really even in between. They're completely different animals. I was trying to figure out if I would even need a gravel bike. Why not just do a gravel event on my mountain bike? And what I've determined is my mountain bike is a lot heavier. And it doesn't really have the all-day ride feel that I want. I can sit on this thing all day. It is fantastic feeling. Yes, it is a little heavier. It has a 10-speed Tiagra setup, and I was very nervous about that because it's been a long time since I've been at the bottom end of the component group. And to be honest, for this bike, it's fine. It shifts well. I haven't had any trouble out of it. And the gear ratio is pretty good. Now, in the area where I live, there is a lot of climbing, and I've not suffered too bad with the 10-speed ratio. If I look back, my first decent road bike was a 10-speed with a very similar setup on it. Actually, it has a 34-34, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio. You could pretty much climb a tree with this bike. It's not my road bike. It's not as fast as my road bike, but it is still a whole lot of fun. What I learned from racing in a gravel scenario is it's a little bit different from any road thing I've ever done. The registration booth had shots of Fireball. The aid stations had beer. I'm not really sure this is something that I would do if I were really trying to compete, but I had a blast on these events. And I recognize that a lot of people are entering this scene to be competitive and to be fast, and then a lot of people are doing it because they view it as being safer. Really, it's somewhere in the middle. I bought this bike to use on the trainer. I really enjoyed it outside as well. It won't replace any of my bikes, but I'm glad I have it. It will probably live most of its life right there. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But if I want to do something in the gravel, if I want to do something far away from home where I don't want to haul what I consider a valuable road bike attached to the back of my camper and parked in random places, well, that's the bike I'll take and I'll have a great time on it. So let's get rid of this thing and kind of wrap this up. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this Checkpoint ALR 4. It has been great for a training bike. It's been fantastic for the event that I did a few weeks ago, the Love Valley Roubaix. Look, it is a fad. Maybe it's a fad. Riding gravel roads is a blast. This bike, if you just want an occasional gravel bike, is going to do wonders. If you want something to ride all the time, I'll be honest with you, this bike is 3 times better than my first road bike. The Tiagra group set has come a really long way. The hydraulic disc brakes on this bike, very capable, and I've had a great time with it. It will probably live there most of the time, and I'm good with that. The other thing I'm good with, not having this. Beard was miserable. I'm still going to be a little bit weak when it comes to riding outside and when it comes to riding in the rain in the winter. But one thing I won't be afraid of, I won't be afraid to tear up the local gravel roads, the local gravel hill climbs, and maybe some really, really tame single track on that bike back there. So if you need a recommendation, if you're thinking about buying a gravel bike, go for it. The Trek series is great. The Checkpoint is great. Even the ALR 4 is fantastic. Yes, it's heavy, but what do you want? It's a sub $2,000 bike with pretty good components on it. So leave comments below. Let me know what you think about your Checkpoint, and I'll see you in the next video.